Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another exciting meeting at Toastmasters for Hyderabad Entrepreneurs 2.0. Yes, 2.0. Anytime, every time, the version that changes has always the improvements. And so do we. We are with the concept to improve, to help entrepreneurs flourish and become a better version of themselves. I start the meeting number 79 with a bang on. And we have interesting agenda. We are going to talk about pitch decks. As an entrepreneur, you give pitch. It can be anything, maybe an elevator pitch, an investor pitch. But that beginning 1 to 2 minutes makes a lot of difference, doesn't it? Whatever people say doesn't matter because first impression is the best impression because that's the only impression you might have before some people. The deck that you're using to pitch your elevator pitch or maybe your rather investment pitch makes a lot of difference. So we have someone who has joined from Delhi today who is going to help us. Let me invite the keynote speaker. Rohan is a strategy and fundraising professional with 7+ years experience in the startup ecosystems. He advises startup founders on fundraising and business strategy. He's a Toastmaster now for 4 years and has seen a lot of benefits how Toastmaster could help him on this journey. He's going to give a keynote on how to effectively make our decks for the pitch that we give. I'm going to evaluate his speech on Pathways project called Question and Answers, and I will present my evaluation in the end of the meeting. Let me invite Toastmaster Rohan to give his keynote speech on doing better decks. Over to you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Raghu. I'll just quickly share my screen, just a second.
You should be able to do it. Now you're co-host.
Sorry to interrupt, Toastmaster Raghu. Do we have any time limit for this?
Rohan, do you want to be shown cards?
Yes, please. So 15 to 20 minutes is the time limit. So you can show the green card at 15, the red at the yellow at 17.5, and red at 20.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Can you all see my screen?
We can see that.
Okay. Is it in full screen, right?
No, it's not a full screen.
Okay.
Yeah, large.
Is it visible now? Full screen? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Raghu, for the opportunity to come here and speak. And it's a wonderful opportunity here to come here on a Saturday and pitch to Toastmasters for Hyderabad Entrepreneurs 2.0. The purpose of this presentation today is to understand how you can make your pitch deck more aligned with the interests of investors and understanding what are the different elements that you need to include in your pitch deck that will make it more investable, that will make it more appealing to the investor, because your incentives have to be aligned with the incentives of the investors. And oftentimes we see a gap between these both because founders often focus on different things and investors focus on different things. So today we are trying to learn what all different sections of a pitch deck that you should include in your pitch deck that will make it more aligned with investor interest and also communicate your value proposition very clearly, right? So a bit about me. I'm Rohan. I have been an angel investor for the past 2 years and have invested in over 6 early stage startups so far. I am a venture partner at our Ventures, where I lead fundraising mandates for early stage startups. So I help them connect to the right investors and also understand and make them investable in their approach. So I'm a startup advisor as well. I review all the investor documents, and I come with 7+ years of experience, both as a founder, as a mentor, investor, as well as a leader of fundraise. So that is a bit about me and why I'm qualified to portray this, because I see pitch decks on a daily basis. I understand and give feedback to both founders as well as investors on what the pitch deck should include. So let's talk about what is a pitch deck. Firstly, pitch deck is not just your typical corporate presentation that you prepare over the weekend and you dive in deep with your team for a detailed meeting. But a pitch deck is a tool for founders to clearly put down your thinking in raw form, to put down your thinking from your mind and create a second brain, so to say. So a pitch deck is a way for founders to clearly articulate your value and present it in a visual and appealing format that can get your investors, your customers, your stakeholders all on board onto your vision. And it also helps your team in understanding what your vision is, because oftentimes founders keep their vision in their mind and they expect everyone to understand, but that's not the case. So a pitch deck is a great way for a founder to clearly do that. So a pitch deck is not only a tool to communicate your vision to the founders, but it's also a great tool for keeping track of your internal goals and vision and keep everyone aligned with what your vision is for the company in the next 5 to 10 years. So, sorry. Okay, so why do we need a session on pitch deck, right? So founders often struggle with making the right pitch deck for many reasons. Firstly, I want to talk about the incentive of the investor, right? So the investor wants to know how well do they make money of this investment. If they put a certain amount of investment into you, how will they get the money back? How will they see the value, let's say five years down the line, when they expect the money back and get some value in return? But the founder is often focused on how do we build and iterate on this product or service and get to the market in the best possible way. So there's a misaligned incentive when a founder starts pitching for the first time. He pitches all about the product, the features, and what he brings to the table, but he forgets to address the main component, which is how will he make the investors money? How will he create value for the investor to get their ROI in place? So there's a misaligned incentive with respect to pitch decks and what first-time founders do when they go out in the market. Secondly, I often see pitch decks are a lot over-designed. So founders spend a lot of time and money in making fancy designs without having more substance. So they focus away from actually including relevant information that the investor would want to see, but instead try to make it very fancy in terms of design, in terms of making the presentation very beautiful, cosmetic. But the investor does not look for that, because as per a recent survey, investor spends over 2.5 minutes per pitch deck. So in evaluating a pitch deck, they spend only 2.5 minutes on average. And you have to be clear in what you're communicating to the investor, because otherwise you lose the interest of this particular investor. Now, one other criteria that I often see is founder often goes with certain checklists in mind that this investor wants this, so I'm going to pitch it to him in this way. But in that, what happens is they miss out on communicating the value proposition very clearly, just to fit in with a general trend of what the investor wants rather than what you want. Because what happens is when you clearly communicate what you want, both a rejection as well as an acceptance will help you guide to the right investor one way or the other. So this is often the mistake that we see, and it's often very important to get this very aligned for you. Now, what's in a great pitch deck, right? So these are the 10 elements that I would recommend any founder to have in their pitch deck. And for each of these 10 aspects, right, investor looks for a certain set of criteria within each aspect that helps it helps him or her to make the decision as to whether to invest or not. So I'll be going over each of them briefly because we have limited time. I'll be going over briefly and telling you all about what an investor will look for when he's looking at the problem slide, when he's looking at the solution slide, and all these different aspects, and help you understand what kind of aspects can you drill deep in each of these different figures. So firstly, let's talk about the changed vision. What do I mean by changed vision? A changed vision is usually a vision that you foresee of the future. Let's say you're building a startup where you see a need to improve something. So you have to clearly communicate in the first slide itself when you launch your startup now, or you've already launched, what does the future look like with the startup already in place? So let's say 5 years down the line, how do you see people using your product that solves a particular problem? And that is what changed future means. Changed vision means that your startup is actually doing something to overcome the pain point of the particular customer that you're targeting. And the change vision helps an investor understand that you will be creating value in this particular space, and hence I should put my money into you. Right. So that is an example of change vision. And that should be the first slide that you present to the investor, is that what sort of a vision do you envision in the future, let's say 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, and what is your short-term and long-term strategy to get there? Right. So coming to the problem. So a problem slide is usually a way of validating your problem statement to the investor. It helps the investor understand that what is the problem statement that your target customer faces, and why are you the right fit to understand or address it. So in the problem statement, it's very important to have a very clearly defined customer segment. You can do that by in 3 levels. So firstly, you have to explain or give a very hard-hitting statement of what the problem really is. So let's say, for example, if you're launching an EV charging business, so you can say that in Delhi, there are only 1 EV charging station for every 100 vehicles. And that is why I am venturing into this space to bridge the gap and address this need of bringing more charging solutions. So this can be different for your different take, but it has to be very specific and hard-hitting, that you've done the research, you've validated the problem statement, and you've elaborated on how this is a pain point for the market today. So framing the problem statement is a very clear-cut way of showing a clear need to the investor, and showing that it's a very urgent need. The market really needs it, and it'll grow at a fast pace for you to really step in and taking the market size. So in a problem statement, what you need to show is awareness, firstly, awareness, and second is the proof that you've done the groundwork by talking to customers, by going on the ground and conducting customer surveys. One aspect here is do not take the word of your friends and family, because they will always be nice to you and communicate something that you always want to hear, not necessarily what you need to hear. So you need to talk to multiple people, about 5,000-6,000 people across the board, and get multiple reviews, so that you have a very solid problem statement in hand, that I have tested my problem with 5,000-6,000 people, and this is what they're saying, and that is why we're coming in to address it. So most founders say that I have approached my friends and family, but I often say that they often lie to your face when you're going to them directly. So a problem statement is a clear way of showing that you've done the groundwork and you're ready to scale this ahead, because you clearly understand the problem that your customer faces. One point here is that I want to highlight here is you need to have a very clearly defined customer segment. What do I mean by that? So when Instagram first started, they had a very clear problem statement that we are creating a photo platform for photographers who have a very strong Twitter following, but don't have the right platform to post their pictures to show their artistic side on Twitter. So they had a very clear problem statement, and they went after this market that we know to be very iconic today and used by millions of people around the world. But they started off with a very unique problem statement and target audience, which is photographers who had a very large Twitter account. And when you define your problem statement in such a way, it helps you understand where your marketing efforts will go, where your sales efforts will go, and will help you clearly aim at these customers without having to spend a lot of money trying to discover your target market through spending a lot of money in marketing and sales, and then trying to figure out. Instead of doing that, try to figure out who is actually facing this problem the most, and going after this market will help your solution take off and scale. So that is the problem. Next critical aspect of a pitch deck is how do you plan to use your solution to address the problem? A critical mistake that most founders I see make is they don't tie the solution back to the problem, but they talk about a solution that's, maybe innovative, but they don't really address the problem statement. So founders very clearly need to tie the solution back to the problem, saying that I am developing this solution that will solve this problem in this specific way. So let's say if I'm opening a charging station in Delhi, so talk about how that charging station will bridge the gap between, let's say, 1 in 100 customers today use it. Your charging network will help 50 customers out of those 100 use charging very effectively. And that is why I'm bringing to the table. So a solution is a slide that clearly articulates what your solution, what your unique value proposition is, how you differentiate from the market, and how you solve the pain point that is most important to your target customer. So that is very important to include in this particular site. You can do this by very clearly communicating what is your value proposition, how do you see the future happening with your solution, and whether your solution has a sustainable business model. We'll come to the business model and talk about what all aspects do you really need in a business model. But here the critical idea is how are you differentiated from the existing solutions already in the market. So that is a critical point to see that what is your value propositioning compared to the existing solutions that people are already using and that are not working really for your target customer. So when you clearly highlight your solution in such a way, you give the investor an insight into why you're different from the others and why they should invest in you versus going to the competition. So a solution slide addresses that very clearly when you include all these points in your deck. Now coming to this is an often overlooked slide, which is a founder does not talk about his motivations for starting the business. So he clearly jumps from problem solution and then mechanically going to all different slides. But you have to tell the investor, why does it matter to you, why you're doing what you're doing, why are you here, like what sort of ideas led you to discovering this problem in the first place. What made you frustrated? You experience it yourself, or did you see it happen to someone else that led you to solve this particular problem? So an investor wants to know if you are capable and passionate enough to solve this particular problem in the long term, because they see value building in the long term. And if you're not doing that very clearly, you have to personalize your approach to investors, because investors are also humans and they love a good story when it's backed by a decent backstory where you talk about the journey leading up to building the startup, right? So giving a brief timeline as to where you have been over the past couple of years will really help the investor understand your perspective and understand all about your journey as well. Now, coming to the business model, this is the critical part, is how will you make money yourself and how will your investor make money? So, right. So this is talking about your revenue model. How will you charge? Will you charge based on a SaaS basis? Will you charge a one-time fee versus a fixed fee? Talk about your revenue model and talk about where you're planning to go after that. Then you have to talk about how will you target your customers? What is your customer acquisition cost, and where is your target customer really based? Are you based in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities? How will you go after them? What is your sales and marketing strategy? And is your business model sustainable enough that you can scale well and you can still make profits for the customer as well as for the investor? So there's a concept called unit economics. So there are two things in a business model that help the investor understand. Is the market big enough for you to tap into? Secondly is the unit economics per transaction. How much are you making in your pocket? And will that scale well when you grow to the future market? So combination of both these aspects really helps the investor come on board and be convinced of your value proposition and what you bring to the table. So that is about business model. And this can be spread across like 2-3 slides at the most, just to help understand the revenue model, your customer acquisition cost, and your marketing and sales strategy to give a complete description of where you are at the moment. Now, this is one part of your business model, which is understanding if the market is big enough for you. Because we are on a bit short on time, I won't go into the depths of it, but we can connect later to understand what is TAM, SAM, and SOM. I can help you explain that as well. But you have to understand if this market is big enough to address all of these solutions. Now, this is, if I don't want to exaggerate, I have to say that this is the most critical slide that an investor looks at, because if a team is not capable and passionate enough, there's no point in investing into a particular startup. So you have to highlight that well. So if, let's say, if you're co-founding team of 3 members or 2 members, highlight the skill sets of that each of these members bring to the table, and talk about how these skills add synergies to the entire team. So let's say I have marketing and fundraising experience, but my co-founder has experience in shipping technology products for Amazon, Microsoft, and so on and so forth. So we add complement to each other. We complement each other's skills by bringing all these skill sets together and building a startup where we can leverage these skills to really scale up the market and have all the resources to overcome any challenges that come our way. So we have to highlight that well through the team slide, by adding pictures, by adding previous experience in building technology, building marketing, fundraising, and so on and so forth, and really helping the investor understand that you have your personal goals are aligned with the startup vision, and you are ready and prepared to scale the market. Now, coming to traction, this helps the investor understand what you've done so far. So traction can be both quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative in terms of what sales you've gotten so far. Let's say you've set up a team. This can be qualitative, as you set up a team. You've completed the development of the technology platform that you're using in the product. You're setting up offices. You've hired more people in your team. So all these can be included in traction, just to show to the investor that you have done all this work so far, and you need the money to scale forward to new heights by doing further things in the next 5-6 years. Now, this is a technology platform. In this, you do a deep dive into what your technology stack is like. Did you develop it in-house versus did you acquire it from some other place and then you build it out? So here the investor really wants to understand, do you have the in-house capabilities to scale the technology to new heights, or do you depend on external freelancers or developers to help you out? Because this affects the positioning of your market relative to others who have in-house capabilities as well. This is the very important is helping the investor understand what is the timing, why is now the right time for you to launch your startup and bring your product in the market. So there are a couple of ways, because maybe the sector has been in existence for the past many years, but you are launching a startup now. So the investor wants to understand what is the reason for that, what do you see in the market that others don't see, and why are you well placed to overcome the competition and existing players in the market by launching your startup. So talking about the timing of this particular industry is really crucial for you to portray a very convincing role in helping the investor understand where you stand. Now, this is the funding ask. Talk about the valuation of a company. Talk about how much you're requesting the investor to ask, investor for funds, and help them clearly visualize where those funds will be deployed in the next 5 years. So let's say you're planning to spend on marketing, hiring new team members, operations, and so on and so forth. So clearly depict that using a pie chart or using a tabular format where you've listed the percentage breakdown on where your funds will be spent. So this shows the investor that you have a clear strategy in mind, and you have what it takes to create future value by using the funds deployed by this particular investor. All right, this is very quickly. This is one slide that often founders miss, is talking about risks that your company faces. So talk about the research you've done in terms of the negative impact that industry news or government laws might have for your startup in the next 5 years. Talk about industry overview, talk about the potential risks and mitigants and how you plan to overcome them as a team. So that is very important to understand, is do you have what it takes to overcome these risks, and whether you've done your groundwork very clearly, and help the investor understand this as well. All right, time for Q&A. Any questions for me? The floor is open for you if you have any questions for me. Yeah, Padma Kumar, what do you?
So first of Rohan, brilliant talk. I think it was covered the entire gamut of all the aspects that we need to look for. That was extremely helpful.
Thank you.
Now, for almost 95% of the cases, what you have laid out is a very clear kind of a guideline on how an entrepreneur can present in front of a venture capitalist or whatever. Now, there may be some boundary conditions. I just want, first of all, to ask you, are you comfortable if I ask you a question about some boundary conditions and some
Sure.
exceptional situations?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the question pertains to some disruptive ideas which completely change the way in which the things are being done so far.
Yeah.
So for such kinds of disruptive ideas, some of the aspects that you talked about, for example, idea validation by talking to 5,000, 6,000 people, or the TAM-SAM SOM calculation for some of these disruptive ideas, maybe a different piece of cake as compared to what you have explained, isn't it? For example, if I were to consider that VR, virtual reality, is in some way kind of substituting the need for traveling to places to experience the places.
Yeah.
Now, the addressable market size for VR cannot be equivalent to what is there for travel, right? So there has to be a different way of approaching such boundary kind of. Would you like to throw some light on that as well?
No, absolutely. I agree with your point that there are disruptors who are creating a new market that warrants a different approach. So let's say you're talking about metaverse, right? So metaverse is a different topic and at a very nascent stage right now, where companies across the world are cropping up, startups are cropping up, and here a different approach is required in terms of helping the investor understand what is your market. So when you're creating a disruptive solution, you can often use the same products, use the same approach where you've listed the overall technology adoption. So to answer your question, there are two ways of going at it in terms of helping the investor understand your market size. One is the direct market, where you're talking about, let's say you have the overall AI market in the world and you're targeting AI. But when you're creating something new within the AI world, let's say creating the metaverse and big data and that complements AI, we call it the indirect approach, where you say that 90% of the global companies that are using such technologies or technologies so far are planning to shift to metaverse in the coming 2 years. This way you help the investor understand that these companies are planning to shift to metaverse, and this is the new market size that I am going after, or this is something that will be redundant in the past, and these markets will shift to this new market in the next 2-3 years, and that is my market potential. Saying that these AI companies will not use their technology anymore, and they have to shift to metaverse to adapt to the growing demand. So that is where the indirect part comes in. Is you don't talk about metaverse directly, but you talk about industries that are becoming redundant, and you will replace those industries and take over their market size. So this calls for a different approach, but it's often the same content in terms of understanding total addressable market as well as what you will obtain, but you take a backdoor in taking market size from different sectors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rohan. Anybody else who has a question? It's a great opportunity to know more about the decks, and then we have the experts sitting here to take the advantage, I would say. Going once, twice, going thrice.
This is
Vamshi.
Vamshi. Yeah,
Sure.
like how to identify the problem? Yeah, problem, like you need to do the analysis, right, for that current market, right?
Yeah, so problem can be identified using multiple sources. So first source is, let's say, a problem that you personally face in your life. So there's a pain point when you experience something. Let's say you're ordering food from outside, but you don't have a specific platform. So that's how Zomato was born, is that Zomato created a need for users to have the convenience of ordering food from directly from the app instead of calling up restaurants and dealing with all that. So a problem can be identified using multiple ways. Firstly is, let's say you tap into your friends and family and understand what sort of pain points are they facing in their life, and whether you are passionate enough to go after this problem and solve it yourself. Second is, if you're passionate about a certain industry and want to understand more, there are many networking events that happen in the industry. And how you often find out problems is you talk to industry leaders about what's missing in this particular industry, and that will help you understand what is the gaps that exist in this particular market, and if you are capable and willing to go after this particular market. So that is one way of understanding, is talking to people in the industry and understanding what is the competition like and how you can step in to address some of the weaknesses. Third is, a very underrated source of customer feedback is on Quora and Reddit. So a lot of users complain about existing solutions on the social media platforms where it's all anonymous and they share what's been missing in current platforms. So that is a great way to understand what about in the competition are their weaknesses, and that you can make that your strength. So helping understand your competition's weaknesses can help you understand where your unique value proposition could lie. And that is a great way to conduct customer research. But that said, if you have a particular idea that needs validation, that there are many ways to go about it. One is going on the ground, asking people to experience that particular pain point in front of you, and helping you understand the feedback from these potential customers in identifying the potential market. So this can be done through the usual focus groups, the usual customer surveys, but it could also be done through, there are many online mediums now to validate your idea and get your idea out in the market. So one is building a founder's brand and sharing your ideas and thoughts with the world and seeing what the world thinks. So these are many ways that you can use to validate your problem statement and help you identify who your target customer really is, because that is very crucial when you try to build a product that's centered around this problem statement.
Thank you, Rohan. There's a question from Imran. He's asking, when it is an NGO, do we need to customize this tech accordingly, or follow the same structure?
So if you're asking funds for an NGO, that you really need to highlight the impact that you're trying to make with that particular NGO. So that is very critical. And usually for impact investors, or let's say for impact investors that coming to you, they also look for a certain return, but they look for a longer term return over their particular investment. They want to see more value out of the investment and how it's adhering to the investment philosophy of doing that. So let's say, for example, Bill and Melinda Gates expand their portfolio to India. They want to understand where is the synergy that they like, that their company or their foundation will have on the platforms here. So you have to understand from that perspective, is these investors want to see what sort of synergies can happen between their organization and yours. So there's a slight approach change where you focus more on the impact and the synergies between the partnerships, rather than the funds you plan to raise for the investors, because that is often second fiddle to the real impact that you're making in health, sanitation, water, and so on. So first talk about a changed vision, and then talk about what you plan to do, and everything else remains the same. So that is the approach I would take for the NGO side.
Thank you very much, Rohan. We can take one last question. Anybody in the room wants to ask a question? TM Kumar, please go ahead.
I'm sorry to occupy the airwaves, but if there is no one else wanting to ask a question, I have one more question that I would like to ask.
Sure, sir.
So Rohan, when you talk about, as an angel investor, when you're listening to pitches from people, do you like to hear about the exit plan in a certain time frame, like 3 years, 5 years? Are you looking for that clarity that this is the way I'm going to exit from this? Or are you looking primarily for long-term players? What's your perspective?
So there are all sorts of investors who come into the market. But if you ask personally, me personally, I look for a long-term relationship and association with this particular startup. So I often don't care about exit plans, but I want to see the startup adding value and enabling a particular industry to take this industry to a large scale. So for just to give an example, I recently invested in a company that provides digital transformation for coaching centers in rural areas. So what they do is they brand these coaching centers in rural areas to their platform, to their digital content, and to their backend infrastructure. And what this does is it helps them stand their own ground to big box players such as Byju's and White Hat and whatnot. So I invest in such type of startups that add value over the long term. But for me personally, I don't look for that exit opportunity at this point, because even the founders at this point, when I invest in seed stage startups, they often don't know what the exit plan would be. And often I invest from a 3 to 5 year standpoint, that after 5 years, we'll see what the situation is with this company and how often I associate. But right at the investment point, I don't look for an exit option right now.
Thank you very much, DTM Kumar, for posing those questions on behalf of the audience. And Toastmaster Rohan, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence and also giving a topic that is necessary for many entrepreneurs. In fact, for this community as being the Toastmaster for entrepreneurs, I would straight away give you an evaluation. Toastmaster Rohan, you did a great job in your speech. In the beginning, you started with your introduction. Why Rohan should give this presentation, something that we see in a pitch. Why should that person, or why we should hear him, and where they give the introduction. You gave all the details about yourself, why you are eligible to give this presentation, and then you straight away went in, why do we need to have a pitch? And then you picked up why, and then what is in that pitch? You picked up the pointers and then explained them. First thing, starting with this problem statement and what is the solution, value proposition they are giving, timelines, you talked about business model, team, and all the elements that it put in very good detail for us to understand. And then when somebody is planning a next pitch, they are able to follow that clearly. I love the way that you answered questions with patience without being ridicule, or you didn't put down any question. You took all the 4 questions that were put down, and questions were from different backgrounds, whether it is a pitch that is required for NGO, or the research that is required to give pitch, are the 2 questions posed by DTM Padma. You answer with patience and in detail. Shows your subject matter expertise in that. You're cool, composed, and also patient while doing that. If I have to give you something to improve, because that otherwise people will ask me why I'm a DTM thrice. So I'll give you things. First thing is, I felt your rate of speech was high. You're speaking faster. So it is not that easy for some of them follow, or some words, at least I was missing on the speed that you're going. You might keep it low. Increase the time that you want for your presentation next time, but then go slow for people to grasp what you're trying to convey. And then second thing I felt was you can give some personal stories while you're giving these things. What was your personal experience when you tried to pitch in for first time? Where did you fail, or did you pass, or what were your strengths? So if you give personal stories, you feel connected, right? You use that as a point in your deck where people get connected when you give personal stories, especially the investor. The next time you're presenting, try to add personal stories, or rather 1 or 2, or maybe 1 just. How was your first time deck, and what did people feel about it, and what were the changes it did, and how you did research and found out these were the effective ways we can do You can do an elevator pitch or rather investment pitch, any pitch that we are doing for that. Overall, it was pleasure to have you, hear you, and also to learn more from you. Thank you for gracing us once again, Toastmaster Rohan. With that note, it's time to do something that is a niche of this Toastmaster for Hyderabad Entrepreneurs. That is, we do an elevator pitch and then that gets evaluated by 3 people who are experts from that field or what Toastmasters. Today, we have Geet, Toastmaster Geet, who is joining us from Gujarat, and he is a principal and founder of Total Dekbal. Total Dekbal is an investment consortium dedicated to acquiring and consolidating targeted healthcare and assisting living business. Now, he is a visionary and risk taker. These qualities are important for him to be an entrepreneur. And he dreams big and he is willing to take any necessary risk to push forward to become big. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Geet, for coming forward to give the pitch. We have 3 pitch evaluators. First one is none other than our dear beloved Toastmaster Rohan, who has given a very beautiful speech on how to give a good pitch deck. And then second pitch evaluator is Toastmaster Abdul Rahman. He's a budding entrepreneur from Hyderabad, the city of pearls. He has joined Toastmasters to improve his leadership skills and also his networking in this beautiful world. He believes in learning. Learning is for life. His hobbies are reading books, traveling, and spending quality time with family and friends. Now, the next person, TM Padma Kumar, who is a pitch evaluator 3. Now, I have a lot to speak about here, but I will make it concise in the interest of time. He's currently running consulting, coaching, and training practice through his boutique firm, Anmol Consulting Services. He's also founder, regional director of the Alpha Group International, providing small and medium enterprises with P2P would advise these services. He's also an author, and I hold the book that he has recently written, and I've got it through Amazon. Thank you very much for that. Which evaluators are ready? Which speaker? Toastmaster Geet is also ready. Toastmaster Geet, do you want to quickly check audio, video, and your sharing cap, please?
Yep. Am I audible and visible to all of you?
You're audible, visible, and
Is
then,
my screen visible?
yes. Do you want to quickly push it to the slideshow?
Yep. All good?
You're good. The Toastmaster Geet is today going to talk about bringing a partner to his firm. I wish you all the best, Toastmaster Geet. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Raghu. And first of all, welcome to the Total Dekbal. I am the founder and principal of Total Dekbal Partners, and our mission is to provide healthcare that is convenient and healthcare that is affordable. And how we'll do that is by consolidating the highly fragmented industry, home healthcare and assisted living industry. And our mission is to become a highly profitable, publicly traded company that produces around 6,000 crores in yearly revenue with blistering pace and ruthless pragmatism. Toastmasters, investors, fellow high performers, wouldn't you agree that our society undergoes significant changes to meet new demands all the time? Yes, so as technology and medicine move forward, so will the home healthcare and assisted living industry. We look to integrate the continuous medical and technological advancement to constantly improve our service to provide the healthcare that is convenient and healthcare that is affordable. Now, how we'll do that? We are not following a conventional organic growth strategy. We are not looking forward to grow 10% or 100% a year. We are looking forward to grow 10 square into 10 square multiplied by 100. So we are following a totally inorganic strategy. So we'll be acquiring, aggressively and intelligently acquiring and integrating This business is as fast as pragmatically, ethically, legally, and morally possible using my mentor's proven methodology for consolidation and exponential growth. Yes, you heard it right. It's a proven methodology, a proven strategy. Basically, why should we reinvent the wheel? To create a business from scratch, it takes a lots of risk to get at the stage of a positive revenue, at some kind of positive cash flow. Our company strategy comes from my mentor, Sir Dan Pena, one of the most experienced conglomerates in the US and across the globe. Indeed, he has been consolidating various industries for past 40 years, creating over 50 billion in equity and value over the time, and also facilitated transactions with organizations such as Siemens, Onassis Group, and the Vatican, and also done various acquisitions and mergers with various governments of different countries. Yes, you heard it right. Let's buy revenue instead of creating it from scratch. But why home health care and why assisted living industry? What does this industry look like? Before getting into the facts and figures of the particular industry, I would like to share why this industry is important to me. Well, growing up, I had an elder brother. He was around 2 years older than me, but he was physically challenged. I still remember feeding him water from a spoon. He had everything needed to be done by others. He was, you can say, in a vegetative state. And we, even for his daily physiotherapy practices, we need to, I remember we were commuting around 10 kilometers back and forth for just half an hour of physiotherapy exercise. And this is the problem of each and maximum household in India. There are millions of houses where there are someone who is facing such kind of issues. Maybe their parents, maybe their siblings, maybe their kids, maybe your mom and dad are facing those kind of issues. So yes, the problem is there. And I know what family, this kind of family goes through. It not only the suffering of that particular individual, the whole family suffers financially, emotionally, and yes, there are lots of factors because there are lots of things that needs to go when we need to take care about one individual. It doesn't require only one person to do that. We need a lot of different experts to do that. So that is my main motivation why I choose this particular industry. Let's look at how does this industry look like. The growing geriatric population and dependency ratio in India is expected to drive the demand for home health care. And this is a proven report from Grandview Research that according to the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, the aging population of India is expected to reach 298 million by 2051. It accounts for almost 17% of the national population. So there's a huge demand for that. And in terms of growth rate, you can see the bar chart over there. In 2021, the total revenue or the market cap was around 7.4 billion US dollar. And the total capital annual growth rate is around 19.3%. So in other words, the whole industry is getting double, is growing 100% in minimum of 5 years. And that's only the organic growth, the demand that is there. We are not talking about implementing, innovating different things into it. So by 2032, there will be 200% growth in this industry. It will reach the market cap of around 32.6 billion US dollars. Times of India states the same. According to the National Health India's Home Healthcare Report, the market cap will be around $19.9 billion by 2025 itself. Now, why this industry? Well, this industry is very highly fragmented. In other words, there's not even a single biggest player out there. There's a lot of chaos in this industry. So what we intend to do, we intend to bring some kind of order to it. Yes, there are some key players like Apollo Home Care, Portia Home Care, Healthcare at Home, Care24, Medfine, Suburban Diagnostics. But they still don't have a foothold in this particular niche of home healthcare market. According to Berkshire Hathaway's last report, the Indian home healthcare market is currently dominated by the unorganized sector, means it's fragmented, contributing to the maximum to the industry revenue. Unorganized players have regional concentration operating in only one state or one city. Means there are lots of small players out there who are not working on the businesses, they are just working in the business on daily stuff. And in other words, to say that 80% of the industry is up for the consolidation is likely an understatement. There are host of retirement age sellers out there who are motivated to sell their businesses because businesses or the businessmen in this particular sector don't have any kind of exit strategy. They just live off their business until they die. That's it. So there's a huge opportunity because nobody's out there looking for them and trying to buy those kind of businesses. So in terms of competition, we have very few. Now, I'm looking for my own non-executive board of directors. We already have a chairman with high performance credentials. He was chairman of a publicly traded company, one of the big company in India, and he has about 35 years of deal making experience. So he's an asset for us. We also have our own in-house CFO. He was partnered with one of the big four accounting firms. What we are looking for? We are looking for our in-house counsel, a legal expert who has some proven acquisition and deal making experience, and two healthcare industry experts, ideally with specialization in the home healthcare industry and assisted living industry. Yes, we have a deadline that we will be confirming our internal board by Saturday, 26th November. After that, we'll be looking out for the top legal firm and accounting firm whom I'll persuade to work with us on a successful basis once our in-house board is built. So Toastmasters, fellow guests, it's really a pleasure for you taking time out of your day and trying to listen to my vision. The only thing at the end I want to share with you is this, is that I know that we can dominate the home healthcare and assisted living industry because it is highly fragmented and there's a host of retirement age sellers and the margins are high. I know we can dominate this industry. I know I can lead the charge, but I also know that I cannot do it alone. And that is why I've reached out to you. It's real simple. We can make acquisition in this space. And I know you have questions. How are we going to come up with the financing? What about the operations? What about getting the deal flow? How do we cultivate deal flow? And I intend to answer all of those questions in this call itself. And in terms of operation, let me just give you a quick answer. About my background, I personally don't have any experience or expertise to be successful in this highly lucrative industry. And that is why I'm reaching out to all the professionals and delegating all the tasks to the professionals. And I'm giving them free founders equity and bonuses after each and every successful transactions, because I know that we is stronger than me. And that's why I'm reaching out to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Keith. Let's allow 2 to 3 minutes for pitch evaluators to make their points. Toastmaster Manoj, who has been vigilant and completely in the meeting and assisting as the timer for today. He is into IT for almost 12 years now. He was a Toastmaster and returned back as a Toastmaster. He is enjoying his journey. He wants to become a professional speaker one day and also aims to be an entrepreneur, or rather, in short, one entrepreneur one day. Thank you for assisting us today, Toastmaster Manoj. Give me 1 more minute, Manoj.
Sure.
Till then, I want to acknowledge my friend Stephen, who is joining today from the United States. Hi, Stephen. Good to see you after long. Can you hear me, Stephen? No problem. Akib Javed, Anand Murte, thanks for joining. Srinivas Dopalpudi. Thank you all for joining the meeting. TM Padma Kumar, Abdul Rahman, and then Rohan. Let me know when you're ready. Just show a thumbs up. I see Rohan is ready already. TM Padma Kumar is ready. Rahman, are you ready for your pitch evaluation?
Yes.
Wonderful. That's the spirit. Now let me invite Toastmaster Rohan as the first pitch evaluator.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Raghu. And thank you, Toastmaster Keith, for the presentation so far. Firstly, I have to commend you on the vision that you presented with home care and assisted living in India and globally as well. And that you clearly laid out what the market is and what the vision is that you see with acquiring these healthcare facilities and growing them to scale. I also really like that you introduce yourself, your motivation for starting this, because you mentioned that when you're growing up, you were experiencing all those different things, and that led you to become passionate about this sector, which I particularly like. Now coming to the recommendations, right? Firstly is I was waiting to hear in the pitch about what your business model actually is. So you mentioned something about acquiring different home care facilities, but you didn't mention how you plan to do that and what is the business model that you plan to follow with these assisting living facilities. So let's say you can talk about how many such facilities exist in India and how many do you plan to acquire in the next year, and by what means would you acquire it? What would the transaction structure look like, and how are you personally involved in making money out of these acquisitions, or do you plan to build an ecosystem of healthcare facilities? I didn't know, and that is something that I felt the pitch needed more clarity on. Is what is your company all about? How you translating your vision into a concrete business plan? And that is something that I would need as an investor. I would need more clarity on in understanding. Secondly, while you're listed out the key players in the market that you would be up against, I would want to hear how different are you versus the rest of the competition. So what sort of features or characteristics that you have that other players don't, and this is something that separates you from the market. All in all, a great work on the vision and motivation and communicating that to the audience. I would request more clarity on what your business model really is and how you plan to make money through these acquisitions and create a long-term plan and long-term value in this particular industry. Back to you, distinguished Toastmaster Raghu.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rohan. TM Padma Kumar, you can go next.
Okay. So first off, compliments on a very nice pitch that you made. But for your own benefit, I'm not going to focus on aspects that you did well, because I'm sure that you yourself know what you've done well. My purpose will be to really offer you certain value-adding inputs that can take your pitch to the next level. It does not mean that there weren't good aspects in the pitch. I enjoyed every single moment of your pitch, but I'm going to offer you certain suggestions based on my experience that could potentially pitchfork your pitch to the next level. Yeah. So first off, you want to bring in a partner. And therefore, the whole explanation, I think 75–80% of the explanation was talking about what we are and how great we are, right? You kind of assumed that people will, out of that, figure out what's in it for me. I think when you're looking for a partner, it should be flipped. The what's in it for me or what's in it for you should get predominance in terms of how you pitch the whole thing. And why is it that I believe that you can get all these? It's because this is what I am, and this is what we are. So that's one flipping of the approach that I would suggest. Second, I heard you say somewhere that it is a 10 squared by 10 squared by 10. I kind of got lost. I didn't get the full context of how exactly you are talking about this. Third aspect is, I like the emotional touches that you had about your elder brother who had to be fed and things like that. And also for half-hour physio for people to travel several distances. But those were the only two elements of emotion that I saw in your pitch. The rest was almost like a very clinical presentation of the whole thing. And this is a very emotive subject. This has to have a whole lot of emotions that come in. Otherwise, this US presidential election where they talked about climate change, person who talked about climate change talked in such a scientific and clinical manner that nobody really understood or felt impacted by what he was presenting. So for me, this being a very emotional issue, I think you invest a little more time and effort in bringing in emotional content and make people feel what you're saying. I think these are the suggestions that I would like to give. If I had more time, I would have given you a few more, but then I see the red card already. So for now, those are my inputs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, TM Padma Kumar. My dear friend Abdul Rahman, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Toastmaster Geet, congratulations to you for a successful elevator pitch. I'm truly enthralled. I particularly liked two things about your pitch. You have clearly laid out the vision of your startup. You even provided a personal example as of your brother who needed regular help and somebody needed to take him to the hospital, etc. Yes, this is the current scenario with most of the households. You have demonstrated the potential for home health care, geriatric care. When you spoke about it, I could relate it to my home, where my father is 88 years old now, and I'm having this practical challenge at this moment. These are two things which I liked. Now, from a business perspective, I think probably you could have included 2 points in your presentation. One is, I did not clearly get what exact investment you are looking at. From a financial perspective, what is that exactly you're looking at? Another thing is how you want to scale up the business. What is the ROI on your business? If I'm an investor, how I'm going to get back my money? When are my returns going to come? This time scale, I couldn't see there. Another thing which probably you could have included is the risk analysis. What risk is there in the business? Well, I know there is a lot of potential going forward with the current lifestyle most of us have. There is a very good potential. But having said that, you mentioned, you listed down a lot of players existing in this market. So keeping that in mind and the other new players coming into the market, what is the risk involved in this investment? Overall, it was a very, very good presentation, which I liked. And I would definitely, if I would have been the investor, I would definitely work with you to get into the more details. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Abdul Rahman. Toastmaster Geet, great pitch. And I hope the 3 stalwarts, both in Toastmasters and the entrepreneur background, have given you enough feedback for you to improve your pitch and present it in your real world. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you all the evaluators too. Now let me invite Toastmaster Manoj to quickly give his report as the timer for today.
Thank you, DTM Raghu. So as a timer, I've seen that I don't want to give any other stuff directly. I'll go to the report. And as the timer, I've already given the timings over there where you can see in the chart. So I see the keynote speech as per what the speaker has said. It will be till 20 minutes. It took till 21.5 minutes, the speech alone, where it's within the time limit, but I'm not sure if we need to include the Q&A, but Q&A took other 11 minutes, which spilled over to 32 minutes is there. And the evaluation of the keynote speech, DTM Raghu has actually taken 3 minutes 7 seconds, wherein we have a cutoff at 2 minutes and a grace of 30 seconds. 2 minutes 30 seconds is what I got to know, but there it went to 3 minutes 7 seconds. So in the evaluator pitch report, where the evaluator pitch is expected to be, the pitch is generally expected to be small. When we say evaluator pitch, we'll have a short amount of time. That's my understanding, and it's 3 to 5 minutes with a grace of hardly 1 minute. So it took to 10 minutes 28 seconds the evaluator pitch, and sorry, the elevator pitch. I'm pronounced it wrong. Sorry for that. The elevator pitch and the pitch evaluators. Toastmaster Rohan, I think he's within the limit 2 minutes 24 seconds, where the hard limit is 2 minutes 30 seconds. DTM Padmkumar took 2 minutes 37 seconds, and Toastmaster Abdul Rahman took 2 minutes 22 seconds. So this is my timer report. Over to you, DTM Raghu.
Thank you very much, Manoj. Thank you everyone for joining today, and I hope this meeting was fruitful and you have something to take back as a learning. Toastmaster Rohan, thanks for giving those pointers, and we all will remember, include in our pitch, especially in our text, those pointers that actually investor will see. It's more like giving us the eyes of investor while we look at our decks. Thank you very much for that. Thank you all the guests who are joined from different parts of the world too. Elios, who was joined from Indonesia, and then Stephen, who was joining from Washington, if I'm not wrong, the state in United States, and our dear friend who joined from different parts of India too. So I want to take feedback. I know you joined a little late, Stephen, but how did you feel about the part of the meeting that you are present?
Well, thank you very much, Toastmaster Raghu, for the invitation. And I had came because I want to hear the main speaker. And I learned a lot because for my entrepreneurship, we're looking to launch our company internationally. And by listening to his speech, I learned a lot how to present to angel investor. Currently, we are looking toward that in the next year, but not currently. But this is, everything is in as a part of the planning. So it was very, very helpful. The pitch, Geet, I really appreciate your pitch, and I learned a lot. Sorry, I missed half of it because I had a voice message coming in at the same time. So that's why I didn't hear Toastmaster Raghu was calling me. But overall, the interaction was wonderful. I get to see the evaluation, which is critical because I learned a lot from the information from the people that are giving a speech, but I learned even more from the evaluators and the evaluation itself. And lastly, I just kind of want to wrap it up is I see that you have a wonderful, very professional group of people that are looking to help each other in their journey of entrepreneurship. So thank you very much for having me for this call. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. For all who don't know, he is not just an entrepreneur. He is a practicing doctor in the United States. That's why he could connect well with the topic of the day. Elios, my dear friend, an entrepreneur himself, and also he is energetic, expert, experienced, and excellent. I see that triple EB as your background, Elios. What is your feedback on the meeting today? Elios, are you able to unmute yourself? No problem. Srinivas. No problem. Vamshi, our regular visiting Toastmaster. Vamshi, how was your experience today?
Yeah, thanks, Raghu. Yeah, I really enjoyed what they are presenting. I really enjoyed that each and every moment. Yeah, thanks for that. We'll join in the future meetings as well.
Sure. Keep joining and keep enjoying your journey.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me ask Toastmaster Geet, how was your experience being evaluated by 3 pitch evaluators? Did it add value to you? Does it help you?
Yes, really, it was wonderful because I have been pitching, and yeah, it was just part of my pitch. I had all those answers and everything stats, but the time was the essence. So whoever I pitch to, I don't get evaluation. I just get the more questions. Okay, what is this? What is that? So this was the first time I was evaluated on my pitch. So it was really good. I got a lot of feedback and I know what I need to work on. And yes, and this is a really different, you can say, club compared to all other clubs, because most of them don't even focus on this kinds of growth. They just focus on the general part of it. This is specifically designed, and I really appreciate. It's really commendable, Toastmaster Raghunatha, for that. And I'm looking forward to future meetings also.
Thank you, Geet. Please keep joining, and I'll add you to our guest group. I'm looking forward for you to join our meetings too. Toastmaster Rohan, what was your experience today? I believe it is your first meeting in Hyderabad Entrepreneurs.
No, absolutely. It was a great experience. This is a very unique approach to helping entrepreneurs, expand their learning and skill set. And the kind of exposure that Geet got and I got as an evaluator. This is the first time I've evaluated a pitch per se. I normally am on the other side asking questions. So this was a different take for me as well. So thank you for having me, the Distinguished Toastmaster Raghu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rohan. Looking forward to have you in future meetings and also as a chapter member of the club. Thank you very much. Toastmaster Elios. Yes, sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes,
What was
I'm I always impressed by Toastmaster of Hyderabad Entrepreneurs here because you are a specialty club, as the TM Raghu said, and I'll try my best to book the schedule in my schedule so I can learn from the best people in the industry and also learn from the evaluators, the keynote evaluators, the panelists evaluators also, to help the pitch speakers there to improve their pitch deck in slides and also delivery and so on. So yes, keep on doing great job as usual, because I know that you are great speakers, great leaders, and great businessmen. And yes, by doing this regularly, we are practicing our business skills. And I always pray for all the best for all of you, for your career, for your business, and for your life itself. So back to you, TTM Raghu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elios. Imran Chaudhary.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Basically, I reside in Pakistan, in Karachi, and I am a member of Toastmasters since a couple of years now. Member of Karachi Toastmasters Club, as well as Quantum Leaps. It's another Toastmasters Club that is specifically for geeks who are more interested in astronomy and such thought. So basically, since I was part of a WhatsApp group, I think it's called Worldwide Leadership Guest Participant, something like that. I just saw that this group, this meeting was commencing, and luckily I was available, and I just joined on impulse. When I didn't know the agenda, I just wanted to just see how it goes in Hyderabad Toastmasters Club. And I really have to say that it's just something, I mean, obviously all of the Toastmasters Club has the same agenda of for the participant to improve their communication skills. The unique thing that I found about this club is that it's not only about communication skills only. I really learned a lot about a technical subject like fundraising and investments. I am assuming that all the sessions would be of such sort that you guys would be focusing on some specific subject so as to learn skills other than presentation and communication in that particular session. So if that's the case, I would love to be, a permanent member of your club as well. And that's just to give this feedback, I switched to my mobile, although I was just tuned on to it as a silent participant on my PC. So just to appreciate and commend the unique aspect of this group, I thought I should just give you guys my feedback. Thank you.